evening, everybody. Test, test. Okay, hello. Hi. My name is Perrin Lance, and I'm the manager of Neighborhood Services. Outside, we have Steve Lamb, and he's our neighborhood program specialist, and we're very glad that you all have come out on this extremely cold and bitter night to spend some time with us. So just to give you a little bit of background, neighborhood roundtables, who all is this their first neighborhood roundtable? Oh, that's awesome. So neighborhood roundtables are essentially of benefit to the neighborhood associations. We have these once a month, usually from February to December every year, so that we can get the neighborhood associations educated, get them empowered, get them connected to each other. We like to host speakers such as Mayor Kelly, who will be speaking, who will be speaking next month. We'll talk a bit more about that. We also have codes, animal enforcement, all kinds of presenters. And so we're always going to be having these on the third Monday of the month from here on through November at 5:30 right here at Chattanooga City Council building. And we've sent an email about that. We'll send another one again. It's also on our website. And all of these events are going to be live streamed and recorded. So you are being live streamed right now. If that scares you, you can run out the building. But it scares some people. But many of our neighborhoods have requested that we live stream and record these events for their benefit because not everybody can be out here. So I better get my clicker. I want to talk about something really important before we begin the full presentation, and then we're going to have a friend from WTCI speak to us for a second. Raise your hand if you know about this. I love it, okay? Raise your hand if you're going to vote for this. Okay, that's awesome. That's basically all we need to do. So I cannot tell you who to vote for or against in a partisan election, and I would never do that. But we are able, as the city, to support this amendment, and this amendment is incredibly important. We need the best police, we need the best fire, and we need to be able to recruit them from all over the place so that they can serve the citizens of Chattanooga. Obviously, we're going to do our best to hire local first, but we need to empower our police and our fire departments to get the servicemen and women that they need. So we want to support that. And also, as somebody who has had plenty of experience in local elections, basically all of my adult life, this could come down to 4 or 5 votes. Easy. All of your city council races could come down to 4 or 5 votes. I ran an election in Ringgold, that's where I'm from, where the turnout came down literally to 1 vote. It was Earl Henderson versus Randall Franks. Ringgold 2023, 1 vote. And it survived a recount as well. So this happens all the time, folks. So turnout matters like you wouldn't believe. So I'm glad that you all support this. We're going to have our guest, Linda McReynolds, talk about Be My Neighbor Day, which is an initiative that we are sponsoring as the City of Chattanooga and Neighborhood Services. So please welcome Linda.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be able to be here tonight. The other hat I'm wearing is that of WTCI. I'm the Vice President of Development there. So we're having a Be My Neighbor Day, and that's going to be on April the 26th, Saturday the 26th. It'll be on the campus of WTCI. And it's all about Mr. Rogers and how he was such a good neighbor, and he inspired all of us to be good neighbors. And the city has joined us in that effort this year. We have flyers that you can take back to your neighborhood. Hope that you will come. Also, if you all would like to have a neighborhood, Mr. Rogers Be My Neighbor Day in your own neighborhood, not necessarily on the day that we're having it, WTCI would be happy to help you plan that. We've got some ideas and some things, but first of all, just spread the word. Come on and join us. The city this year has offered to be one of our sponsors, along with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Electric Power Board, the city, and Ace Hardware. Fun day for kids and families. We expect about 1,000 folks. So I hope to see you all there and let us know how we can help bring that to your neighborhood. We actually have Daniel Tiger and Lila in the Loop that will be able to visit some of the neighborhoods around there. So if you'd like to have a special picture taken with Daniel the Tiger and let him visit your neighborhood in preparation for this, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Linda is also the HOA president of Columbine Trail HOA. So many of you neighborhood association presidents are spread all throughout the civic and social infrastructure of the city of Chattanooga, and we're very grateful for it. Also, Summer Foster, our neighborhood relations specialist, has just showed up in the building with the sign-in sheets. So as you leave, whenever you leave, be sure to sign in, tell us your neighborhood, and give us the best contact information for you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. We're going to talk about, well, did I kill it? I killed it. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to talk about the role and power of neighborhood associations. And let's go ahead and get started a little bit. So, again, the purpose of this presentation is to talk about what neighborhood associations are, right? What are we doing here? We thought that it was helpful to go over essentially some ground rules for neighborhood associations. What are neighborhood associations? What do they do? And what neighborhood services is, because we've got a lot of questions. We've had a lot of new people in recent years, and we just sort of need to level set, get you guys informed, and get you guys empowered so you can be successful in your neighborhoods. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Sorry. Our contact info, you guys are free to stop by at any time. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can check out our website at www.chattanooga.gov. And we exist physically over at City Hall Midtown in, sorry, a few technical shenanigans here. We exist at City Hall Midtown in Eastgate, and that number right there, that is my own personal cell phone number. I am talking neighborhood associations at Friday at 11 o'clock at night with the beer in my hand. I guarantee you we will have a fun time doing it. I work this job 24 hours a day. I love it. So if you also want to get into contact with our administrator and any of our officials with us, here are their contact information as well. So we have Administrator Tony Sammons. We fall under the Department of Equity and Community Engagement, and we're proud of it, and we support it, and we're not hiding from any of that name or anything like that. But what it means is essentially nothing's different. If you know neighborhood services from 20 or 30 years ago, it's the same stuff as before. It's just got a different name. Oh, this slide? Sure. There you are. So Steve Lamb is our neighborhood program specialist. He works essentially with all the neighborhood relations specialists to support their efforts. Our neighborhood relations specialists are Karen Clay, Marcy Keith Tolliver, and Summer Foster. Raise your hand if you know your neighborhood relations specialist. Okay, this is a fantastic neighborhood roundtable already because you know who your person is. And they're incredibly useful. So we're going to go over really quick the philosophy of neighborhood associations. I promise I will make that fast, but I think it's important. We're going to talk about what neighborhood associations are doing in the past year, 2024. We're going to talk about what neighborhood services does and what we don't do. We're also going to talk about the importance of our neighborhood registration campaign. I hope you all have heard about this. We're going to talk about upcoming initiatives, and then we're going to have some Q&A. So let's ask ourselves a question. What are we all doing here? We're out here on a cold Monday at 5:30 at the City Council building listening to a government official talk. You exist in neighborhood associations. You have these monthly meetings. You talk about your business. You have meetings. You have votes. What is this arrangement? Because number one, it didn't happen by accident. Number two, it wasn't won easily. So is there a word that describes sort of this ecosystem in which we exist? And we do have that word. It's called liberal democracy. Raise your hand if you've heard the term liberal democracy before. And no, it does not mean Republicans versus Democrats. Thank goodness. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff today at all. In fact, you can be a neighborhood association person and never vote in a single Republican or Democratic primary or engage in any of that stuff at all. You can just be local. So liberal democracy balances individual freedoms. It's a system of governments. It balances individual freedoms with democratic governance, and it ensures rights and responsibilities for citizens and the state. So there's two roles that are played here. There's the state, meaning the government, right? Not the state of Tennessee, but the state, which is me, in this building. And then there's you, the people. In this system, and somebody can popcorn it out to me, who is sovereign? It's the people. It's the people, and the state is the representative of you guys. But both are good answers. So the state in this system of governance exists to serve you. Ideally, we're not supposed to serve the interests of special interest or exclusively the wealthy or exclusively this one group of people. We are meant to serve everybody. And how do we find out about what everybody wants? We ask voluntary, independent groups of citizens, such as yourselves, what you guys want. So, whereas we are providing the roads, the schools, the police, the fire, the libraries, you are actually doing the hard work of telling us what reality is outside of these four walls, because sometimes we can get a little bit lost in our priorities. You guys have the power. Neighborhood associations in particular can bridge citizens and government, organize community efforts, and advocate for local interests and strengthen democracy through civic engagement. If there's anything that I really want to convey to you all tonight, is that you all have power. You all have a tremendous amount of power to change things in the city, in your neighborhoods, and in the lives of your fellow neighbors. And you can have even more. And throughout this year, in 2025, Neighborhood Services is going to work overtime to work with you to get you some more of that power so you can implement your vision for your neighborhood. I wanted to go back to this. I wanted to emphasize something that's very important here. And I don't know if we really emphasize this enough or appreciate this enough. Neighborhood associations are independent from the city. We're not the boss of the neighborhoods. I can't tell the neighborhoods what to do. You also can't tell us what to do all the time. Sometimes you can. But we're not the boss of the neighborhoods. Some people might think that, hey, parent, can you just go tell this neighborhood to just support this please, this rezoning? It might be easier that way, but that's not what we want. Neighborhood associations are voluntary and independent groups of citizens. We are legally constrained as the city under the First Amendment. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. We are legally constrained from abolishing you, telling you what you can't say, telling you what you can't think, telling you what you should do or should not do in many, many contexts. So all the time I'll get emails, or my neighborhood relations staff will get emails, well, parent, can I have my boundary maybe a little bit a block north? Can I do that? What's the answer to that? You don't have to ask me. Well, according to me, you don't have to ask me. You may have to ask somebody else, but you don't have to ask Parent Lance if you want to put your boundary up a little bit north. Now, if you are an HOA, that's totally different. That's a whole different kit and caboodle to an extent. But you don't have to ask me. What you do have to be aware of is just the context of your neighbors, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But you guys are totally independent, voluntary, and separate from the city of Chattanooga. This is my first time working a little point clicker, so forgive me. Thank you. Does anybody know what this is? What historical event is this? Why is the Magna Carta important in this context for you guys?
Sign of governance.
Parliamentary rights. Yeah. These are all fantastic answers, and they're all correct. And one of the things that I want to add is that, I'm going to back it up a second. Who all has spoken at City Council or at the Planning Commission or at the County Commission on behalf of your neighborhood? So you've gone up there, right? And you've told these people how it is. Chip can talk a little bit about that. A lot had to happen historically for you to go up there. A lot had to happen. A lot of people had to die. A lot of people had to get treated horribly. A lot of people had to fight, spill a lot of blood. There had to be a lot of wars. A lot of things had to happen in order for you to have that freedom. And one of these things was the Magna Carta, which essentially said we are a country or a nation of laws. You cannot have absolute monarchy. You cannot just tell us what to do. Everybody knows this one, right? So apart from there being a king, we wanted to be separated from that kind of system entirely and have a nation, supposedly, that is a republic. And then we had to have an entire second revolution to figure out that, oh, wait, that applies to not just white male property owners above a certain age, right? And we still continue to fight every day to make that democratic reality apply to everybody in the United States. And again, neighborhood associations, just like individuals, just like churches, just like nonprofits, just like corporations and unions, neighborhood associations have protected First Amendment rights. You have the right to freedom of speech, you have the right to assembly, and you have the right to petition the government for the redress of grievances. So literally making petitions. Petitions on change.com are not necessarily the most effective, but that's a constitutional right. Going up there at that city council podium, that's a constitutional right. Now, we can talk about like the format in which you come up and the regulations, but it's a fundamental right. And a lot of things had to happen in order for you to have that right. So let's just not ignore that or take that for granted. Key points tonight that I want you to walk away with. Rights of neighborhood associations, same as individuals, same as churches. Would the city ever go to a church and say, hey, you can't speak out on that? They would run us completely out of town, the entire city government. As well they should. The city is not in charge of neighborhood associations. You don't have to ask our permission to exist. You don't have to ask our permission to hold a vote. You don't have to ask our permission to have a policy stance. You don't have to ask our permission to, well, I'm not going to say do anything, but you don't have to ask our permission to exist and advocate. We'll talk about how registration is a different kind of relationship, but you don't have to ask our permission to exist. And again, we get so many emails and so many phone calls where I can intuit that people don't really grasp that. And until you grasp that power relationship between me and you, between the city and you, that's going to be one thing that maybe it isn't necessarily supposed to be. Another thing that I want you guys to understand is that even if you're registered with us, you can support things that we want to do. You can oppose things that we want to do. You can sue us. Please don't. That wouldn't be nice. Please, let's try to work it out, please. But just like any other person or voluntary group, you guys can oppose us or support us or be totally indifferent to us without fear of retribution, without fear that we will withhold public services, without fear that we will treat you differently. So again, all of those rights that you see in the Constitution that apply to individuals apply to your neighborhood associations as well. We are not supposed to treat neighborhood associations differently under color, race, creed, political affiliation. anything like that, we have to treat you differently. And I think that there is, I know in this town, there is a sense and there is a history of the fear of reprisal. And I don't want that to be the case so long as I'm here under my watch. So you guys say new whatever. I might get in trouble for that later. So, and then lastly, I want you to think about, you can and should be right now allying with each other and forging friendships and support networks and coalitions to support each other's interests and make statements publicly to advance your common cause. Again, if you guys want to form a coalition walking out here tonight in support or opposition to the thing, whatever the thing is, you're free to do it. You don't have to ask us. Now, maybe it might help to get our thoughts and opinions and dialogue with us and politic with us. I mean, we like doing that. I like doing that. But you guys are free to do that right now. And what that means is you guys are free to take up the power that you have already and advance it even further down the road. So let's talk about what neighborhood associations have been up to in 2024. We have had a lot of new neighborhood associations join us since the last time that I spoke with you all many years ago. Actually, it wasn't that many years ago. It was like 18 months. We've all seen North Chattanooga Neighborhood Association if you live up in District 2, hopefully. When we go through some of these, there's a lot of beautiful logos, a lot of beautiful pictures here. North Chattanooga Neighborhood Association has joined. Do we have any folk from Manchester Park? One, two, that's three. This is really, truly one of my favorite logos in the city. This is, Robert, you made this? This is absolutely beautiful, folks. I love this logo. And I love all your logos. All your logos are amazing. But we had them join. Steve helped recreate the classic Bushtown logo. Bushtown is a wonderful neighborhood association. Ferger Place, I think, made these banners with our newest grant. This is an absolutely beautiful banner you guys can take inspiration from. Lake Hills for the first time. Do we have any Lake Hills folks? Lake Hills got their very first sign toppers. Their very first sign toppers under our grant program that we'll talk about later today. Hill City. Do we have any Hill City people? You from Hill City? Wonderful. I absolutely love this logo. This is something that I created under our banners and sign toppers program, under our grants. So as you can see, neighborhood associations, they're making new signs, they're making new banners, new graphics. And hopefully you all can take inspiration from this. Do we have anybody from any of these neighborhoods? There's a lot of neighborhoods. So South Chattanooga Community Association worked with us to come up with, and I can't even count, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's 10. Yeah. Yeah, they're duplicate. Oh, is that 2 columns? Oh, pardon. That's 5. So they came up with 5 different six. Okay, they don't have me in the accounting department for a reason. Anyway, so South Chattanooga Community Association, for example, is a great example of what's called an inter-neighborhood council. So instead of just having one individual neighborhood association for Richmond Place or Piney Woods or Alton Park, not that it's a bad thing, not that you can't, but they decided to come together, merge, form one neighborhood association so that they could more powerfully advocate for their interests. And you can do that. There are other neighborhood associations like the East Chat Community Council or the North Brainerd Community Council that still maintain their individual identity, but hook up to form a greater coalition of neighborhoods. And it helps create a sense of placefulness and identity that I think is tremendously important. So let's talk about what neighborhood associations have been up to. We don't get together often enough to talk about the things that we are doing. That's one of the things that I want to work on, but I just want to report back on many of the wins and interests you guys have been advancing. Neighborhood associations have been forming. meetings have been having high turnout, and roundtable participation is strong. So our highest neighborhood roundtable turnout last year was about 54 for Mayor Kelly. We're going to have him next month, right after the election, actually, so you can get caught up on what's happening with him. And yeah, we had 54 people. Average turnout for neighborhood association meetings, we did a sample last year. We may do a sample again, was about 18. So if you're at 18 or over, you're doing great. And even if you're under 18, you're still doing fine. You should still maintain encouragement. Neighborhood associations are improving safety and infrastructure. Who all filled out the public works survey? Okay. Every one of those issues that you input into that survey is logged on our Monday.com boards, is logged on, for instance, Summers boards. And while we can't solve each one of those issues tomorrow or this week, or maybe even this year, we have a record of it, we know what the priority is, and we're going to dedicate ourselves to fixing it. Neighborhood associations have also been extremely this year influential in land use and zoning policies and decisions. And I don't think I have to impress upon anybody here the importance of that, right? So it's not necessarily that every neighborhood association should oppose every development, but when you do oppose a development, you should be able to have the power, and you should be able to have the influence to state your mind and see your results enacted in reality. And that's what's happening. Just going through some of the highlights here. Lupton City. So Lupton City saw a new green space that was created. It's a huge, long story. Mark, I'm sure you could fill and Mark and Steve could fill an hour talking about this. But this was a rundown, what was it, a mill or a factory? Everybody remembers this, right, from so many years ago. I wasn't paying attention for a second, but this was a dilapidated property. The neighborhood association got together, stood up, made something happen, and then now it's going to be a beautiful green space for people to use. The Churchville Neighborhood Association and CPD have been working together to reduce speeding and increasing patrols in problem areas. So who all has a problem with speeding in their neighborhood? Everybody, right? On my street, for as little as it is. So neighborhood associations, very gradually, not as fast as we want, are getting concrete wins in terms of getting traffic calming measures implemented into neighborhoods. Now, some of the problem is that we actually don't have a lot of the capital funding that we wish we could have to implement some of the infrastructure improvements that would slow traffic down. We can talk about that later, but we are listening and they are priorities. So we are seeing some of that happen in the city. Dalewood Hills, do we have any Dalewood people? Karen Clay, our oldest neighborhood relations specialist, longest serving, I should say, longest serving. She's going to kill me for that, and it's on record. Karen Clay, let me tell you something about Karen Clay, how amazing she is. She has been with Neighborhood Services for 25, 27 years. The total amount of time, I think, Summer, I think that's longer than you've been alive. So that's the amount of experience that she has and wisdom with this. Karen worked with Dalewood. They didn't have a neighborhood association in a long time. They got a neighborhood association. And they wanted a light pole. They didn't have a light pole. And listen, I have requested light poles for neighborhood associations going back 2 years ago. I still can't figure out how to get a light pole going in the city of Chattanooga. It's something that takes a while, apparently, to figure out. Karen Clay got it going, and because the whole neighborhood was dark and very unsafe. Karen got it going, and they had a celebratory light party on the first day that it turned on, which I think was just a beautiful little event. I need to get pictures of it. Orchard Knob Neighborhood Association. Do we have Orchard Knob people? Didn't you guys form a neighborhood watch in the past year? Still working on it. So we're working on forming a neighborhood watch with Orchard Knob. Zoning and development. Do we have Heritage Ridge folks? Heritage Ridge, there was a cell phone tower, and they got together. They did not want the cell phone tower. It was a proposal, and they came together. They expressed their concerns, and they got it stopped. Lookout Valley Neighborhood Association, I got this one correct, right? So we were able to secure conditions on a rezone, ensuring that a liquor store would not be allowed in their area. Now, again, before I get in trouble, do I support or oppose the liquor store? It doesn't even matter. What matters to me is, did the neighborhood's voice get heard? That's what's most important, and it did. Southside Neighborhood Association, and Jenny, I hope I got this one accurate. We successfully removed the pull-in zone from the FBC agenda, showing strong community influence. This is accurate, right?
Yeah, it was a curb cut on Main Street.
Curb cut pull-in. I couldn't quite figure out the name of it, but it was not well received by the neighborhood association. The neighborhood association got together, they organized, they talked to all the engineers, all the people at CDOT, and they got that thing delayed, opposed, stopped, which is incredible. That's an incredible win. Community events and cleanups. You might think that these are just everyday stuff, you know, what's so special about that? The City of Chattanooga Public Works, we can't be everywhere all at once. We do our best. And if you want a clean neighborhood, you have to take ownership in it and actually get out there, roll up your sleeves and do the work. And that's what you're doing. We've had incredible turnouts in Churchville, Lake Hills, Glass Farm, St. Elmo. Many areas are having cleanups. If you want assistance doing cleanups in terms of, I think Janet Inglesbach, I think is the name, right, Steve? Yeah, Jeanette. She will get you every resource conceivable to do a neighborhood cleanup and make it happen for you guys. Scenic City, beautiful. Scenic City, beautiful. Yes, been around for a while. National Night Out was very successful. We had a fantastic collaboration between Neighborhood Services and the Chattanooga Police Department. That is always accessible for you guys if you're interested in doing a National Night Out event. Just get in contact with your neighborhood relations specialist or reach out to CPD directly. We'd love to make that happen. And like what we said, we've had a successful string of roundtables. Who all attended our December roundtable? Raise your hand. There were several people who didn't attend who got an award. Tell me, I think you got an award, actually. You weren't there. Your wife was there to celebrate it. But we had a fantastic event. We think this is something that we want to do every year, which is the nominating, awarding, and receiving of essentially like neighborhood citizen awards for people who are going above and beyond. We want to allow you a space to have recognition for your folks. Let's see. Traffic calming measures. Do we have any St. Elmo people? St. Elmo has a uniquely horrible problem with speeding on St. Elmo Avenue, which is a whole other story entirely, but they were successful in getting Tennessee Avenue some traffic calming measures that they are working out. Stewart and Chamberlain, David, this is coming. The Glass Farm Neighborhood Association has been advocating for this. It is on the list, and we are getting there. Columbine Trail, we were successful in getting the traffic light secured to improve safety. And like I just said earlier, we made a whole bunch of banners, we made a whole bunch of sign toppers in the last year that you guys are eligible to apply for in the coming year. Does anybody else want to shout out any wins that they got this year? What's your name and what neighborhood are you with?
My name is Mary Morris, and I'm with Bushtown Neighborhood Association. We, for some time, had a problem with cleaning up the area on Cleveland Avenue. The Orchard Knob Middle School is on that same road, and the children were having to walk in the street. The sidewalks were overcovered with the trees. The street lighting was very poor, And back in, was it October or November, the problem was resolved. We were able to get extra street lighting down the Cleveland Avenue, and we were also able to get the sidewalks cleaned off and the trees cut, because the kids were having to walk in the street instead of on the sidewalk, which was a great safety hazard for the kids. So it had taken us years to fight that battle. But last year, it was accomplished, so we're proud of that.
Congratulations. Local democracy in action. Anybody else have a win they want to shout out? Sherry.
At our February meeting, we held a candidate forum. We invited all 4 candidates that are going to be on the ballot for our area to come and speak so that everybody in our community had the opportunity to hear them. We had over 80 people in attendance and over 80 online because we live stream our meetings. So we really touched a lot of people with that, and I think that was a real plus.
And your name and neighborhood?
Sherry Ford, Lookout Valley Neighborhood Association.
Incredible. So if you want to learn how to live stream your meetings, you can talk to Sherry. Because I don't know how to do it.
Hi, I'm Diane O'Sullivan from North Chattanooga, and we were able to work with the notification on the zoning sign to learn how zoning works in Chattanooga and rally a whole bunch of people in the neighborhood together to get their input around a development on Franklin that wasn't going to get approved by the city per se because of some challenges, but we were able to get some of the land that's not really very well developable to be put into a conservation easement and reduce the houses that were going to be built there from 14 to 7. So very excited about that because the roads could not handle much more there.
That's a huge victory, winning a conservation easement. Name and neighborhood association?
Orlando Darby, Hill City. We were able to get our sign toppers, signs put on top of our street signs, and it was seamless. I mean, I think we started it in 2024, and by the end of the year, we had it done. Had it accomplished, signs installed.
And speaking of neighbors helping neighbors, Hill City actually helped the Bushtown Neighborhood Association, if I have it correctly. Who did they help? Where is Steve? Did I get all that wrong?
They were supposed to, but we didn't. When the weather came up bad and all that.
We weren't able to coordinate. My apologies. One last win, if anybody has it. Okay. So give yourselves a round of applause. That's an incredible litany of wins. Oh, Angela, one more.
No, I just had a question. I didn't hear what neighborhood association.
North Chattanooga won the conservation easement. For the next part, we're going to talk about what Neighborhood Services does and what we don't do. So Neighborhood Services supports and guides neighborhood associations. We advocate internally, we facilitate connections, and we provide resources. The best thing that we can do is work to empower you. So by empower, I mean getting you all the education about city services that you need in order to go seek solutions for yourself. And when we can't do it for you, when you need us to advocate internally to say like CPD or CDOT or Public Works or Parks and Outdoors or the mayor's office, when you need us to advocate internally to other business partners in our organization, we will do that. But you just have to tell us what you guys want out of it. We also work to develop new neighborhood associations, revitalize old neighborhood associations that might be struggling. We also provide you guys with templates for bylaws, 501c3 applications. There's way more that neighborhood services will do for you guys than there are things that we don't do. There are some important things that we don't do, which we'll go over. Just some of our activity in the past year, we have organized the Dallas Heights Neighborhood Association. We have Dallas Heights people, and this was Summer's win that she got early in the year. We helped to organize Manchester Park. We have Manchester Park folks. Wonderful. We organized North Chattanooga Neighborhood Association. We don't have any East Brainerd folks, but we brought Friends of East Brainerd back with Cody Harvey, who is now going to be a city council representative. We got Hillsborough Heights back from a long time. Has there ever been a Hillsborough Heights neighborhood association? Incredible. So we got them for the first time, and more. We are also working to revitalize some longstanding neighborhood associations. So Summer is working with Southside Cowart. Marcy is working with Bushtown and Churchville. Miss Karen is working with Foxwood Heights, Glass Farm. We're also working with Avondale, which is actually meeting tonight with the mayor. And again, we will work with you on issues of strategic and tactical concern. So if it matters to you guys, it matters to us. When in doubt, bring it to us. I want that to be your mindset. When in doubt, bring it to us. Talk to your neighborhood relations specialist. Talk to Steve. Text me at 11 o'clock at night. I'll respond when I have a chance, but I will. So when in doubt, bring it to us. And more often than not, we can do something about it together. But just to give you some examples of other things that we've been working on pop-up parties, dangerous intersections, new parks and green spaces, and believe it or not, geese invasions. So we have had invasions of the geese. Summer, what was the solution there?
So we ended up getting some lights around the pond so the geese would stay away.
Fantastic. I hope the solution holds. Just some more examples about what we do. We will work with you guys to hone your community engagement strategies. So in community engagement, if you've run a few campaigns before, all begins and ends with your list. So list management. Who is in your neighborhood? Who is in the house? Well, we really can't find out who's in the house, but we will help you build a list, manage your list, and systematically contact your folk so you can build your power, right? You guys have people power. The more people that you have, the more validity that you have, and the more valid you are, the stronger that you are. We will help you do that. We will help you come up with a communication strategy. We can't give you things for free. Like we can't give you a free text messaging app. We can show you how to find things, and we can probably show you how to do things in cheaper or free ways that you might not know about. We will work with you on fundraising. We will work with you on looking at a grant application that you may like to write. We can give you an idea for a grant application. We can't write the grant for you. We don't have the time to do that. Wish we could, unless it's a deeper partnership of some kind. But we'll help you find it. And we will also help you obtain 501c3 and C4 status, under the caveat that we do not provide legal advice of any kind at all. 501c3, 501c4, that's a bigger deal that we'll talk about later on down the road, because I know a lot of people want to talk about it at another roundtable. And we'll also advocate internally. Now, there's some great examples of things that we won't do. Just a few things that I want you to keep in mind. And it all boils down to the fact that we're separate, right? So you are equal in this relationship, and we are equal in this relationship. But we have distinct roles. So we cannot advocate before legislative bodies for you. So I cannot, as the neighborhood services manager, go to the podium and tell Councilman so-and-so, hey, this is what you should do in the neighborhood. It's not my role. It wouldn't be effective. What would be more effective would be for me to work with you to help you figure out how to do that effectively. Because the city council people are going to want to hear from the neighborhoods. They're not going to want to hear from the civil servants and what they think about this. So we can help you do that. We can't offer direct mediation between you and a legal party. So if you have a problem and you want to sue the landlord, we can't help you there. If you want to sue your neighbor, we would encourage you to work it out somehow. Well, maybe we can find some mediation, but we can't get involved in disputes like that. And then also, we can't manage your day-to-day operations. So if you want to send an email announcing your next meeting to your people, guess what? You have to do that. Believe me, we get all kinds of requests every day to do all kinds of things you wouldn't believe. We also cannot offer advanced tech support. I will drive out to your house. I will help you figure out how to set up a Facebook, a Gmail, a MailChimp. I will help you do, I will go wherever you are to help you figure this out. But I am not technology services, and you should not depend on anybody in neighborhood services to be technology services. You know who are technology services people? People in your neighborhood. Find them. Find those people because you have them in your neighborhood and get them to help. Lastly, I want to talk about the importance of the registration campaign. So if the city of Chattanooga cannot create or amend or delete a neighborhood association, what can we do? Well, we can enter into some kind of relationship, which is what we call the registration process, right? So when you register with neighborhood services, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we're going to assign you a neighborhood relations specialist. We're going to work with you on getting the support that you need. And we're going to give you official recognition as the voice of the neighborhood for that territory. Now, that carries a huge responsibility on your part, right? So if we are going to do the honest and ethical thing, looking at you guys as the valid voice of the neighborhood, you have to ensure that you are the valid voice of that neighborhood. So what that means, for instance, is let's say you're a neighborhood association and you're having your meetings and you're only having them during the day. Well, who can't show up? People that work, which is a lot of the people in the neighborhood. You have to make sure that your neighborhood association, to the best of your ability, reflects the people that are actually in the neighborhood association. That's one thing that we count on you to do. And we'll help you do that. If you need a comm strategy to do that, we'll give you a comm strategy. If you need a door knocking strategy, we will help you come up with a door knocking strategy. But we want to make sure that, let's say if your actual neighborhood is 50-50 homeowner renter, that your neighborhood association isn't 95 homeowner, 5% renter. If it is, we got to think about some things. We got to figure out how to expand that. Because if we're missing out on that voice of the renter, we're not hearing everything in the neighborhood that we need to hear. And like I said, we will work with you guys to get this done. We will work with you guys to come up with job descriptions for all of your officers, with your bylaws, with your articles of incorporation. There's more that we will do than what we won't do. And I just want to run the numbers by you real quick before we end for questions and answers. So the total number of registered neighborhood associations is 117. I actually think it's 118 with Hillsborough Heights coming on. We are at 74 neighborhoods that have completed their registration. So if you haven't completed your registration, look out, Valley. Just if you haven't completed it, and don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm just teasing.
So there are 50 that aren't registered, or there are 20 that aren't registered?
Well, I think Glenwood got registered. I'll have to go back and look, but we do have outstanding neighborhoods that haven't completed their registration yet. Registration ends on February 28th. For the current year. So let me take a step back. Back in the day, neighborhood services used to mail a letter to every neighborhood association to re-register their neighborhood association for that year. The reason why we do it is really simple. Every neighborhood association, ideally, has elections, they have turnover, things change, meeting dates, times, and places, and we need to know that because the neighborhood association calendar that we maintain for the city, that the entire city uses, is basically self-reported, right? So you have to tell us what your information is. You have to get that to your neighborhood relations specialist. If it changes, you have to get that to them so that we can figure out how to better serve you. So it's self-reported, and the burden is on you to get that done. Yes?
Are you, those folks who have registered, are you acknowledging by way of email that they have registered?
We are going to at the completion of the campaign. There's just been a whole lot of registrations that have come in. But yeah, everybody, if you registered, everybody's going to get an email saying that you did register. Percentage of Chattanoogans that are represented by a neighborhood association. This is a number that higher administration is looking at and is looking to expand, right? Now, ideally, we want that number to be 100%, right? Everybody gets a neighborhood association. We're not there. We're halfway. We got different ways of calculating it, but we want to expand that. The total number of issues resolved, these are things like summer's geese invasion. We did 86 of those last year, and we're going to try to get to 100 this year. We awarded 12 grants, and if you look at this last all-important number, 119, that is the number of neighborhood associations, HOAs, tenant associations that either A, used to exist but disappeared or folded, or B, currently exist and I know about them, and they're not registered with us. Most of the, I'm not going to say most, a significant number of these are your small 10 to 12 unit HOAs in like District 2, District 3, District 4 that are so small that it's hard to get out there and find them. So if you know of anybody that's not registered, please let us know. Looking ahead, this is what we're going to do in 2025. We have finalized a neighborhood association manual. This neighborhood association manual is going to lay out in plain speaking terms what the policies are for neighborhood services, what our recommendations are, what the best practices, and how to do things. This is going to be a living document. It's going to be hosted at www.chattanooga.gov/neighborhoods. And it's going to be just a set of policies that you guys can rely on to figure out how to do neighborhood associations. I don't know if we've ever had one. We haven't had one on my watch, at least. So we're going to make one. It's a terrific document. The whole team worked together to get it done. And we are going to have leadership development training. People have been asking for it. We want to deliver it. We actually have put out to bid now for community organizer training. And we're going to get this. We're going to try to get as many people as we can to get into this community organizer training because it's going to be very valuable. We are also going to do a community planning academy. That is, and all of this is going to be for free. We're going to do a community planning academy that is going to be hosted by the head of the RPA, Dan Reuter. It's going to be later in March. We're going to get you the information, and we're going to get together over a series of Mondays, and we're going to dive super deep into planning, into zoning, into all of that stuff, the legal basis, the whys, the why nots. We're going to get into that. We also are going to have, hopefully, some affordable housing classes so we can learn a little bit more about that and other items that are coming up as well. We are going to have a grant. We're going to have a grant again. We're going to have the same amount of money to give away last time, $25,000. We're going to do signs, sign toppers, banners, things like that. We are going to hopefully have the announcement about how to apply and what to do in early spring. And Steve is going to be your contact point for that program. And then we're going to keep having neighborhood roundtables. We're going to have Mayor Kelly next month. The month after that, we're going to have Police Chief Chambers. We're going to have codes enforcement come out like they do every year. We're going to have homeless services come out and give us a lot of education and helpful knowledge about homelessness in Chattanooga that we need. And we're going to have more this year. I want you to walk away with this. If it matters to your neighborhood, it matters to us. When in doubt, bring it to us. We can probably do something about it. And you all have way more power than what you think. Questions? We have 5 minutes to 6:30. I kept you all long. Sorry. Name and neighborhood association, please.
Billy Reynolds in Glenwood, and I had a couple questions if you can come back to me at some point, but if not, my first question was just for sign topper replacements. We had a car that hit a signpost or like a street sign, and it was 2019, and the sign was put back up, but the sign topper wasn't put on it. And at the time, the city said that we needed to do it like acquire or buy the hardware that is needed at the top. So my question is just, that sign, which is at the entrance, at one of the entrances to our neighborhood, still doesn't have a sign topper. Do we need to get our own toppers, or are you all able to help more with replacing sign toppers and the hardware?
I don't have a great answer for you right now, but we can find out something for you. Probably, if it's the sign topper, there would probably have to be a replacement on your part, since it was something that wasn't created by the city. Oh, you have the topper?
The city told us to get the hard base, the base.
You need the base? We'll figure something out. Just get with Steve. We'll figure something out. Questions? I know there's got to be more. None.
Right. What's the big deal with getting streetlights with the city?
No. Hold this
Hold this.
so people can answer.
Okay. Okay, Nanzamata, Midfield Acres, what is the big deal with getting streetlights?
Okay, so there is a 311 there's a 311 button to request a street light. Let me tell you this, as I know where you're going. I don't know what happens after that, and we're going to find out. So let me tell you part of the confusion that existed. Part of the confusion was that streetlights was under Department of Technology Services. Then it went to Public Works. Public Works has domain over streetlights, and that is the extent of my knowledge about it. Councilman Henderson.
So hopefully this might shed a little bit of light. Our streetlights are furnished or provided by EPB, but the city pays for them. So it is a budgetary item. Each streetlight that goes up is a cost to the city. So between Public Works and EPB, they sort of decide where streetlights need to go. And each streetlight, I've had certain neighborhoods request an additional streetlight. They'll come out and look and they'll say, you've got one, at so many feet apart, even though it creates a dark corner sometimes. But a lot of it it's a budgetary item as well, because each streetlight will cost the city. And I'm sorry, I don't know what that number is, but it is a budgetary item.
This is a couple of times that we've had people come out over the years, and I'm talking like over 15 years. And, the police, there was a time when the police said, yes, it's a dark corner, you need a street light here. They would kind of, get the street light. But we had people come out from the city and they look and say, you don't need a street light. All the electricity's over here. It's too far away. It's too far away to run a line. Well, can I get a solar light? No.
So it sounds like there's not like one locus of responsibility for who's deciding it. We're going to find out more answers about it, because again, I've only been working here 3 years. I don't have a solid answer about it, but we're going to. I'll tell you this. So when I needed something done with a street light, I contacted Public Works, and I knew that they could do something about it. So I believe that the best place for it is Public Works, but we're going to try to figure something out.
Right, call them Public Works as a citizen, just call Public Works, say, hey, can somebody come out here and look at this and tell me if I need a street light? And all the numbers are gone. City websites now.
We want to, this would be a great situation to work with the neighborhood relations specialist to get some of that internal advocacy going on. Because with the internal advocacy, again, if your email ends in .gov, me, Steve, Summer, tend to pay attention to it sometimes maybe like a half second more quickly than we will like a random email out there. So if you're in Nan's case, and I know this isn't the complete answer, but if you need a street light in your neighborhood, get with your neighborhood relations specialist. Get with Karen Clay. Karen Clay got one for Dalewood, which is a miracle. Get with your neighborhood relations specialist and make it known that this is a priority and we will chase it down until we can get some kind of action on it. So my apologies that it hasn't happened yet so far, but
How many times do you have to ask? How many times do you have to ask for your streetlights?
It took years,
Yeah,
years.
yes.
But,
And you got school children.
yeah, with the school, but parents, what I want to say is that we understand that the city has a budget. But what we want the city to understand is that we're property owners and taxpayers.
That's right.
We love to see something that comes back in our neighborhood, that's done in our neighborhood to enhance the safety in our neighborhoods. Give us some of that tax money back that we paid over the years. We shouldn't have to beg for years just to get simple little things.
there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. In public administration, and then we'll go to Angela. In public administration terminology, neighborhood services, we don't provide the public services, but we are influential in public resource allocation. So we tell the people who provide the public resources where to put them. And there's a huge disconnect, and we're just not there yet. And my apologies.
And I appreciate you all serving as advocates.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Angela.
You took the microphone away, okay. Angela Tuttle, Manchester Park. So I have noticed with the new city website that there is a button on the 311 or a thing for traffic calming measures. I never saw that before on 311.
It was there.
Okay, all right, well then I guess, so I thought that there was a totally different process for traffic calming measures. What happens if you request a traffic calming measure through 311?
I can answer that. Traffic calming measures. So if you want traffic calming in your neighborhood, what you need to do two things. You need to request it on 311 because that is the city's work induction system for like 99% of the stuff that we do with things like that. You need to call 311. You need to request. You need to hit the button for the neighborhood traffic calming program. And you need to submit that, and you need to get the reference number, and you need to take that right to your neighborhood relations specialist and say, here's the ticket number on this, track it. I want you to advocate for this like crazy inside the city. Because let me tell you, last year, does anybody want to guess how many requests we got for neighborhood traffic calming? Last year alone. 500. 500. We do, even if we had the money, we don't have the man hours to separate that out and implement that. And I also want to add another thing too. There is a thing going on with speeding and reckless driving right now that we can't design ourselves out of. And that I think we're going to have to ask deeper questions about what's going on with that. People, I mean, I see it in my neighborhood. People are driving like crazy. And if you have a long straight road like Glass Street or St. Elmo Avenue, I don't know what to tell you. So it's individual behavior at a society-wide level that has happened since the pandemic. For some reason, COVID made people want to drive crazy. I don't know why, but we got to catch up. Okay, listen. It is 5 minutes after. I will take one question, and then to respect you all's time, I'll let you leave, but I will stay after for a bit for more questions. Linda.
Yes, the Neighborhood Grants Program is restricted to signs and sign toppers or things like that.
This year, we're going to focus it on signs and sign toppers and
Okay.
banners and things like that.
Okay, if there's other needs within the neighborhood, which we have identified within ours, is it just futile to submit the proposal and hope you might reconsider?
Well, that's where I would say get with me, get with Summer, get with Steve, and come up with a plan to figure out how to acquire those resources for you. Neighborhood services itself may not be the source for it. Maybe other services in the city, maybe other places in the system will do it.
Okay,
So, but
thank
not
you.
for this particular grant. One more thing, guys. Be sure to come out because this guy runs the whole show. He's our boss. He's our mayor. And he will have more insight into a lot of this than maybe I do. So we would love to see you all out for Mayor Kelly. And don't forget to vote March 4th. Thank you all very much.